10 is the box. We're using a bench, but it's the same idea. We talked about the handles, right? For the pull downs, it makes a big difference with handles because if we're lower to the box, it's gonna be a lot more weight on the bar. So if we want handles, we're gonna take weight away, right? Problem is, it becomes do your hands hurt doing this? If your hands hurt doing this, we're gonna have to grab handles, but I'll try to stay away from handles if possible, right? So box seated band, the pull downs, I'm gonna sit on my box, in this case the bench. I'm gonna sit up nice and tall. What I'm looking for is for them to pull their shoulders down as they're pulling down the band, right? What I don't wanna do is I don't wanna have my shoulders up, right? So I'm gonna sit nice and down. I'm gonna stick my chest out. I'm gonna start by pulling my shoulders down and all the way down, trying to get my thumbs to touch my chest, and then back up slowly. What we don't want to do, just like a rows, we want to let that band go up fast. All right, down slow and back up fast. Me as a coach, I'm asking them, hey, were you feeling that more, your biceps or your lats? And I'm gonna point, your biceps or your lats. That way they understand what I'm trying to talk about, because they might not know the names. Right, and they feel their lats. Oh, I feel it in my upper back. Oh, perfect. Let's keep feeling it there. And I tell them, if you start feeling your biceps, tell me so I can figure out a way to fix you. Right? One thing that you could work on these is hands facing forward, a little bit different than hands facing down to the sides, right? So I start with hands facing to the sides. I coach hands facing to the sides. Eventually we do a variation of hands forward, hands back, but I start with neutral grip, right? I also double arm or single arm, right? So we're gonna make sure that if we teach double arm, both hands are pulling together. If we teach single arm, I'm probably gonna go down a different band. I'm gonna still pull it up at the top, but my other shoulder stays set at the bottom, right? So if I'm gonna pull on my right side, my left shoulder stays down. I don't wanna have it shrugged up. It stays down, I'm gonna pull down and back up. No matter what, I always wanna make sure I have tension when my arm is extended. If I don't have tension, let's say I'm here, if I don't have tension, that band is no tension, I'm not understanding how to use my lat. So in this case, what could I do? Let's say I'm too tall. Let's say I'm 6'5". I'm sitting on this band and my elbows bend to the top. What could I do to make it harder for them? Sit on a lower box of the floor, right? I could have to take him over there and try to put the band up higher, right? So one of those two things. The other thing I can do is I can grab, so this is a double band, right? I can do that, but this would be too light for them. So what I'd do is wrap the next bigger band, wrap it around and have him choke up on it, right? So I would go here. Choke up on it, right? So that's another way of thinking about this. It's just, obviously, this is the kind of day-to-day that it's gonna be, you guys have to figure out what works better for that client. I might program a seated banded flat pull down. If it doesn't work double banded, we're gonna have to do single banded and do 2 single bands at the same time or something like that, right? So that's more like, okay, what does the coach think this could work on? What can make it a client better? So yeah, so the biggest thing is pull it down, shoulders down. I want my shoulders as far away from my ears as possible, right? The closer the shoulders are to the ears, it means you're shrugged. As far away from your ears as possible, right? Proud chest, right? I want to have a nice tall chest. For some women, when we want to be funny, we'll, hey, stick your boobies out, right? For guys, I'll say the same thing, especially gay guys love saying that. And I want to make sure you feel your upper back working. Right, you want to feel our upper back working. Let's see, retract those shoulder blades. What I'll do is also, go ahead and come over here, Brett, for me. Also, while I'm coaching, I'm not afraid of doing this with any guy or girl. You're gonna go ahead and grab that band and do a couple pull downs for me. Right, so I'll always ask him, of course, hey, do you mind if I touch you? At this point, I would have a good, yep, exactly. So I always want to track their lats, right? I'll track the lats and come down, and they're moving this way. We're going to go over anatomy later, but this is going to be an upward and downward rotation, right? Come over here, Kyria, and I'll show you. Feel his lats. Feel his, scapula. You see how it's moving this way? Right. That's good. We want to have them move that way. A lot of people are not this mobile. Some people have locked up scaps, so you won't feel them moving. But this is great. Hey, Brett, do you feel it here or here more?
My scaps.
My scaps, right? Okay, perfect. That's a good answer. So I'm looking for that. Oh, careful. I'm looking for that answer when I'm asking that question. And like, oh, I don't know. Some people just tell me, oh, I don't know. Let me think about it next time I come around. All right, perfect. But at least I give them something to think about. That's what I'm saying about getting people to be body aware. Hey, where are we feeling it? If you don't know where we're feeling it, I can't help you. I think you're feeling your lats, but you might be feeling your bicep too. I just need you to know because that's going to help you later on, right? That's usually the first one we do. And then we move down. Yeah, and then we're working with bands. Make sure that band's taut like we talked about. If you're ready to progress, one thing that you could do, you're gonna sacrifice something for another, with bands especially. One thing that you could do is sit back a little bit more. But just know that if you sit back a little bit more, you're probably gonna start feeling your biceps a little bit more. So I'd rather get lower to the ground. That's the case. And then if I get lower to the ground, it's gonna start thinking about hamstring mobility. People that have really, really tight hamstrings are gonna start doing it, let me think. They're gonna grab that band, and you're gonna have to have them bend their legs, because if you straighten out their legs, it's gonna be really hard for them to keep their chest forward, especially somebody with tight hamstrings, right? I mean, I wanna say I'm average in terms of hamstring strength, or flexibility, but I'm able to keep this tight at the top. Some people have to be like this to be able to stay tight, right? So you wanna just be aware of that when you're trying to perform a pull down with them. Be aware if you're gonna put them in the ground. A lot of times I'll give them a Ballard step even to sit on, because it'll just decrease that hamstring flexibility problem, right? So if you're adding one thing, you're almost always gonna take something away. You just gotta know what you're taking away if you're gonna add that one thing, what you're sacrificing. All right, so then we have our band, our cable. Our cable only goes up to 65. So for somebody that's weak, we can do a lot of double arm pull downs. Most people will do single arm pull downs because it only goes up to 65. So, I mean, for me, it's not enough, so I'll add a band around it, for example, but we'll do a single arm pull down with a band as our second option. And the way we do it is the same idea. We're gonna be nice and tight. We're gonna bend our legs, push to the ground. Gonna keep my other arm away from me. I'm gonna pull down, squeeze my lats tight. And the same thing, if I'm extending my arm all the way out and there's no tightness in the band, it's gonna get lower. But this doesn't matter how far I'm away from it, right? It's the same tension no matter what, not like the band. That's what I like about the cable. So down, squeeze your shoulder, and back. I'm sticking my chest out, going down. I'm keeping my shoulder down and away from my ear. I'm trying to get my hand all the way down to my chest. If you ask, and this is one of those, if you ask that client to do this for them, and they're here, that means that's as low as they can go. If they can't even touch their hands without weight, you can't expect them to go all the way down. So this is it. This is the end range of motion for them. That's okay. It's just what they can do, correct? Oh shoot, I went ahead of time. My bad. So I gotta go back to a half kneeling pull down. So let's go back to a half kneeling pull down. So it's just the same exact thing in terms of upper body coaching. It's just gonna be in a different kneeling position. So in a half kneeling pull down, now I'm focusing on squeezing my butt cheek, that is knee down to the ground, and I'm pulling down, shoulders away from the ears, making sure my chest sticking out, and back up, down, back up, right? Nice and slow and control. All the cues stay the same. Shoulders away from the ears, lats coming down. I'm feeling their lats coming down. I'm making sure the lats are tightening up. What?
You're right.
Why?
You lose your voice?
Yeah. I told you I was going to. You have double arm and you have single arm. Which leg are you using? Or which arm are you using if which leg is down?
Kind of balance the opposite.
So if you have your, if you have your,
It'll be the same as a down.
exactly. So if you have your right knee down, your right leg is, right knee down, right arm is pulling, right? So it's gonna look like this. Right knee down, right arm is pulling. I'm still squeezing my butt cheek. So I'm always coaching, squeeze your butt cheek. What I don't wanna do in a half kneel position, anything. This is the first time we talked about half kneeling anything, right? Oh no, we did it about rows too, right? We did it in rows. So yeah, so I don't wanna, I wanna squeeze my butt. I don't wanna inch forward. I don't wanna feel a stretch through here unless I'm squeezing my butt. The knee needs to be on top of the hip, right? We don't wanna have the hip way forward than the knee. That just means that you're really sticking your hip out and you're feeling a great groin stretch, but it's not really engaging your glute, right? So that's a different story. If we wanna get a groin stretch, we got plenty, but in this case, we're gonna try to make sure we're using our glute. We got standing seated anchor pull downs, double arm or single arm. Okay, well I did seated anchor, it's just a cable. So we did double arm, single arm, same thing with double arm, right? Standing anchor pull down, we can start teaching, it's like a version of a row, but it's coming from the top, right? So it's coming a slightly different angle. It's coming from the top. If somebody that can't sit, we'll just stick here. Somebody has an issue sitting down, we find that very minimally, but that could be one of those special population people that we can't have sit down. Okay, so now we start getting into hanging. So we're gonna start working on grip strength, right? So we're gonna start working on passive hanging. Passive hanging is just like it sounds. You're gonna try to hang relaxed. You're not activating your lats at all, right? Not activating your lats. Active hanging would be when you're activating your lats. So in this case, I always start passive hanging with something with their feet bent, or knees bent. In that case, I'm short, so When my arms extended, my legs are extended. If I was 6'5", this would work. I could stay on the ground, but I'm not. So I'm gonna start here. A lot of women have trouble with this, men too, but it's just the weight on their hands. They're not used to it. So if you can't even get yourself to hang for 20 seconds unassisted completely, you're never gonna do a pull-up, right? You're never gonna be able to get to that point. So we need to get those hands stronger. So one of the first things we like to do is we like to just relax, passively hang, bend your legs, and put as little effort, a little weight into your legs as possible. You're gonna try to get, obviously they have really tight shoulders, might look different, but you wanna try to get their shoulders right underneath their hands. A lot of times what it'll look like though, it'll look like this. And look behind it because they don't wanna put more weight on their hands. If you wanna get them to put weight on their hands, have them lean forward so their shoulders are underneath their hands. And this is one of those, I can't tell how much you're putting weight in your hands, how much you're putting weight on their legs. So you gotta explain to them, hey, I want you to slowly take more and more weight off your legs. It's up to you to know how much weight you want to put, obviously, but you're not going to progress if you don't put any weight on it, right? Eventually, we're going to let go of the box. We can try to do it on our tiptoes, right? I can still have my knees bent. I still have my legs on the ground. I'm still taking a little bit of weight off this. In this case, I'm probably taking 10 to 15 pounds off my weight, not that much. And then eventually, legs come off, just relaxed. We're trying to get between 10 to 30 seconds of hanging. If you can get to 30 seconds, the next step would be doing, I'll show you later, but it would be hanging retractions, and we'll get to that point. Okay, so assisted passive hanging. So assisted with a box, that's what that means. All right, so then we got low kneeling pull downs. So on a low kneeling pull downs, we're gonna have, and this is a great quad stretch too, for somebody that has really tight quads and knees, this would be low kneeling. Right, so my butt's trying to get as close as I can to my ankles. Right, this is low kneeling, this is high kneeling. Right, low kneeling's down here. I'm gonna pull back, same thing goes. I'm just looking for everything else, just staying, my butt staying there. When I'm going up, I'm not letting my hands take me with them. I'm keeping my butt grounded to the ground, right? Sometimes it's a little bit more comfortable if you go wider, narrower. This position might be really uncomfortable with some people, so just be aware of that. If not that's the case, have them sit on their butt, have them high kneel, whatever they can do, right? But low kneeling, everything else, upper body stays the same, shoulders down, shoulders away from your ears, lats going down and back, making sure we feel it more in our lats than our biceps. Perfect. All right, so we got that one. High kneel pull downs, like I just said, knees are up, right? In that case, I am gonna squeeze my butt. Because like in a half kneel, I'm squeezing my butt cheek. This time I'm squeezing both butt cheeks and trying not to overarch. All right, then we got pancake double arm. So pancake just means straddle, which means legs out to the sides, right? So in a pancake straddle, or pancake or straddle, I'm gonna be here. So anything pancake or when I wanna say straddle, I wanna make sure I'm trying to squeeze my butt really tight, or squeeze my quads really tight. Squeeze my quads really tight. It's gonna make me cramp a little bit more here in my hip flexors, and that's okay. People are gonna feel, oh, I'm gonna cramp my hip flexors. That's okay. If you need to, you can bend your legs. It's gonna be way easier with your legs bent, right? But the goal is eventually start working on that flexibility on your legs, right? So I'm gonna sit upright. It's gonna be a lot harder to get my weight down to the ground, but I wanna make sure that from the side, I'm trying to get my shoulders all the way on top of my hips. I don't wanna be behind my hips. I wanna be right on top of my hips, right? So I don't wanna lean back as I'm pulling down. I wanna stay in place. And at this point, we're also adding a little bit of mobility to that pull down. We're keeping, and it's also helping us understand what body stiffness means. If I can keep my quads locked out while I'm pulling down, if everything stays tight, when we get closer to a pull-up, it's gonna be way easier. The reason why we wouldn't do this for people is because there's just way too much flexibility for some people. This is gonna look like this for some people, and they're gonna be leaning back on the wall. Right? So it just might look different. Just know what you're looking for to try to push them that month to get to that point, right? That's what we're looking for. So it just looks like you're in an L shape. Upper back, legs, and legs are straddled to the sides, right? So I'm trying to stay in an L shape, legs are straddled to the sides, and I'm pulling, everything else stays the same. I'm pulling down as far as I can go, really thinking about pulling my shoulder blades down. And this one, you'll probably see a lot of shrugging. Emphasize, stay away from shrugging, right?
Would you scooch them up to the next one?
You might not be, yes, of course, yeah, you could. You just might not be able to yet. So another one you could do is you could put this all the way back here, and they can work on trying to use the wall to help. Actually, it's a really good idea. It helps them understand, okay, I'm gonna try to use the wall to keep upright. So I'm not pulling back. But for this to work very well, my hips are starting to come off the wall. I wanna see if I can keep my hips on the wall as I'm going down, right? So I wanna be able to feel my lower back on the wall, okay? So yeah, you can definitely push it against the wall, that way they can't go back. It's an assistance. Another way that I'll do it, go ahead and Kira, go ahead and straddle yourself on the floor. Another, as a coaching position, all right. So you're gonna sit up nice and tall, perfect. Act like you're gonna do a pull down for me.
Pull down?
Yeah, act like you're gonna do a pull down, there you go. And let's say you start leaning back a little bit. So what I'll do is I'll come from behind, I'll push her forward. So she's going down, and you're gonna pull all the way down, and you're fighting that, right? Real tight. You're gonna squeeze your thighs really tight as you're going down. So you should, just sitting in that position, you should be feeling your hip flexors tight. Yeah, so you're working on your hip flexors strengthening at the same time, right? So it's like we're bringing a gymnastics move together with a pull down, but when we do a pull up, the idea of this, when you do the first pull up, you have to have really good core and everything. It's easy if you can understand how to stay stiff for a pull up and a push up. If you don't know how to do that, it's really hard. So this is a way of us starting early on how to stay stiff through the whole body on something like that. Right? Because when I go here, when I start my pull-up, I'm always gonna start really, really tight here, right? So I'm staying stiff. This is simulating my stiffness on something that I'm pulling down, right? Yeah, perfect. And then we got passive hanging. So we talked about it. On our passive hang, we're gonna be just relaxed and just hanging it for as long as we can. And eventually down this line is gonna bend into a one-arm passive hang, right? Assisted passive hang, one arm. All right, so then we got into our TRX or barbell chin-ups. So go ahead and give me those J-hooks over there. And I'm gonna set this TRX right here to height. So remember, just like I said, these two racks are the lowest. It's gonna be the hardest to get the TRX up to the highest height because they're the lowest, right? But I'm gonna try to get it up to my chin level. All right, let's get that about this level, the S. All right, so what I want to do for a TRX is I want to line up these with their chin, right? So I want to make sure that this is lined up with their chin. If it's too low, you're going to cheat with the legs a lot. If it's too high, I'm not going to be able to do a full chin up yet, okay? Here you go, man. That's level right there. I'm going to hit level 2. Yeah, you got it there. Perfect. Beautiful. All right, so we'll start with the TRX. So hands stay neutral. I'm gonna set up that TRX to chin height, right? So I ask the client, if they're working on something, I'll ask him, hey, can you come over here? I'll measure the TRX. I'll also measure this footing when I'm doing a squat or anything like that. I'll measure to their shoulder height. I'll measure this to their chin height, right? So from here, I'm gonna have them, hey, you're gonna put your feet in front of you, and you're gonna act like you're using your legs a little bit for doing a pull-up. You've never done a pull-up before, so you don't even know what that means. So what I'm gonna have you do is, at this point, they probably would have done a horizontal row with the TRX. So they know what being horizontal means. Being horizontal means this direction, right? I'm telling them you want to stay away from being horizontal. You want to be your head underneath these guys, underneath the straps, right? So what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you get your legs in front of you. I'm going to have you bend your knees and hips into a squat below you, right? So I'm going to go from here. I'm going to go up on my tippy toes and try to use my legs as least as possible. Exhale, inhale, right? So then up to here, it's up to them to see how much weight they want to put on their legs. I can squat this out and it's super easy for me and my legs, right? A lot easier in my arms. I can also just start getting really comfortable with not using my legs, and now my biceps are working a lot, right? A lot of times I won't be able to tell. Only that client knows. So I'm emphasizing, put weight away from your legs. I might touch them on the side of their leg. Hey, are you using your legs? And I'll feel it. If their legs are stiff and grounded to the floor, I'll know they'll be doing a squat. Hey, I want you to take more weight off your legs. And I'll see how easy they're doing it, right? Depending if you're getting 10 reps, you're probably using your legs a lot. But we also might be working on volume, so it just depends on what you want, right? Let me think. So a lot of times when they start getting tired, they start looking like this, right? They start going into a row to try to make up for it because they don't have that vertical pulling strength, right? So we want to make sure we tell them their hips are going to be below the TRX. If you have the hips behind the TRX, you're going to start pulling like this. I want the hips below the TRX. And at the same time, it might be a flexibility problem, right? So we want to make sure we understand it. You need to get away from that flexibility problem. Then the same thing goes into the barbell, right? So if the barbell's at chin height, in this case for me it's a little bit higher, I messed up. I should have put it one lower for myself because I won't be able to squat here. Normally, when we do the TRX chin up, we'll plan it for two things: for a squat and for a chin up. That way, it's already the bars or a shoulder press and a chin up. The bar's already at chin height for them, right? So on a barbell chin up, I'm gonna start always facing away from the wall. And what's the reason for that? You think? What's the reason for facing away from the wall? Because my feet are gonna go out. Yeah. Number one, safety also. I have this big things against me. If I'm this way, I have a lot less against me, right? So always facing away from the wall, right? From here, I'm gonna be on the same thing. Feet in front of the barbell, right? I'm gonna go down and I want at the bottom for my hips to be below the barbell, just like the TRX chin up. My hips are below the barbell. If I need to step forward more, that's fine. Just try to see if they can stay away from the barbell. If over or behind, right? And I'm gonna try to use my arms as much as I can to get that pull up done, or the chin up done, I'm sorry. Try not to, you're gonna be coaching, keeping your shoulders down and back, but physically it's gonna be really hard for that person to do it if they've never done it. They're most likely gonna shrug a lot to get up there, and that's okay. You're still just thinking about coaching, hey, I want you to try and see if you can get your shoulders back over and over and over again, because when they try that, they're gonna have to try and keep their shoulders back to get all the way up there, right? Let me see if I'm missing something cueing. Yeah, make sure you stay vertical. People have a tendency to cheat by leaning back, right? Questions on those two? That's our first step into doing any kind of chin up. So we use that one a lot. Both those combinations a lot for almost everybody here.
So you tried it for a barbell. You said that was too high, so you set it up.
Yeah. So for example, I can't squat out of here. See what I'm saying? Yeah. So normally their height for a chin up is going to be the same height that they use it for a squat, the same height they use it for a barbell chest press, all the same. So for me, it's going to be normally I have it at level 4, not 3. I messed up. It's my own fault. Okay, so feet on floor. Okay, and then we got assisted scapular retractions. So we're gonna rack this barbell up again. So this is what I'm saying. So once you get to a decent amount of passive hanging and a decent amount of, you start already assisted hanging, you're gonna go into scapular. Okay, so we gotta talk about, before we do that one, do you remember upper rotation, downward rotation? Okay, so the same, I explained this to them before we start. All right, so we're gonna do a retraction, but vertically. So you're gonna reach up to the sky and shrug your shoulders up together, and then reach down and pull them as far away from your neck as possible. Up and down, and you feel that distance that you're traveling? I wanna see if you can travel the same distance when you're gonna be hanging, right? So just like we started with the passive hanging, our legs are gonna be on the box. We're gonna use our legs to assist us, right? The goal of this is to teach them to keep their elbows locked out, straight. You're pulling from your shoulders, you're not pulling from your elbows, right? Same thing's gonna happen when we start doing a pull-up. So I start here, I'm on my tippy toes, and all I'm gonna try and do is keep my elbows straight. I'm gonna shrug up and pull back down. Shrug up and pull back down, right? I'm not trying to get that much distance. They might start shaking, that's okay, that's part of the body understanding. I still shake when I do a body weight in terms of like going up and down retractions, right? But what I don't wanna do is I don't wanna do this, because that's just bending my elbows. I'm not using my shoulder blades. I wanna understand how to use my shoulder blades, correct? So I'm starting, this is basically only lat focus. Once people get this down, they know what the lats are. They know what your shoulders feel like, right? So just feeling it all the way back here. This is gonna get them ready for everything that we're gonna do below this, everything, right? Okay, any questions on that, those so far? We feel comfortable? When you
They're not just hanging and holding it, they're just going up.
Yeah, they're going up and down. Normally we start with 10 reps, assisted, for sure, normally. Obviously, the more weight you put on your, like I can be fully weighted on my legs. This is what it's gonna look like. This is all my legs, right? If this is where we're starting, that's okay. We gotta start somewhere. It's very difficult movement for people to understand. Very difficult. So we gotta start somewhere.
In terms of like cueing for clients, what terms do you use? Do you use like protract shoulders and retract shoulders?
So I use shrugging. And on that one, I use shrugging. I use shrug as high as you can, shrug as low as you can, right? Shrug as high, because if I can't even get this, I'm gonna start here, shrug up and down. Then arms overhead, shrug up and down. Because they can get a lot of distance with the arms down their sides, but they can't get a lot of distance with the arms overhead. That just means there's a disconnect there, and it's probably from the lats. The lats are lacking a lot of mobility, and we gotta understand, go back to our progressions, regressions spreadsheet of the whole thing. What's another way, if somebody can't do this, what can you do to make them understand it? If forward and back, good. So horizontally is a different way. They can start this way and then go here and see if they can mimic it. Or single arm. Single arm's a lot easier to do than double arm, right? So have them try to do single arm, and then double arm. And then they should be able to get it, right? So just like we follow our sheet, everything, if we need to, we go backwards. Okay, so now we're going back to our chin-ups. We're going to negatives, right? So we're gonna be, this is drastically different. So at this point, on the last one, I started getting way less weight. I went from almost 90% of my weight in my legs to at this point, I should be about 50 to 40% of weight in my legs, right? At this point, I have no weight in my legs, right? So I'm gonna start here. I'm gonna start them really, really close to the bar, right? Neck and chin really close to the bar. I'm gonna pick up one leg. I'm gonna pick up the other leg. I'm gonna go down slowly. And then I'm gonna put my legs down and just sit back up. That's one. That's a negative chin up. The easiest thing to teach is, rule number one, you're so close to the floor, guess what you have to use to be able to get there? What do you have to use for you to keep your legs off the ground? A lot. And what I said we have to use when we get to the bar straight overhead, our core. So we start feeling our core a lot more. When we used to teach this before that, we just weren't feeling our core at all, right? So now I have to use my core to make sure I extend my arms and they're able to be extended at the bottom. I can put my legs down and just sit back up, right? So it's a negative chin up. A negative just means an eccentric or just going down slow, right? There's different names for that. Shoot. Give me 1 second. Let me just make sure we can use this. Can I stay here?
Yeah, exactly.
Can I stay here? Okay. Hi, Carol. I'm Roger.
Oh, hi.
Nice to meet you. Good
Nice
to meet
to
you.
meet you.
Thank you. All right, we're good here. So, feet on the ground. Okay, questions on that one? That one's gonna be really hard for them to keep their shoulders once they get down. Expect them to shrug, and that's all right for now. We're just learning how to decelerate. It does put a lot of strain in your elbow, so if somebody has elbow problems, just be careful with that. Another variation between would be this way, one leg down. Just putting less pressure on that leg, right? That's another variation you can do in between, less and less pressure, right? The less pressure, the better on each leg. So now we got, okay, iso chin up. Okay, so another one that we could do is isometric. So instead of going down negative on the same level of variation, I'm just gonna try to hold myself up here for as long as I can. An old school version from high school, I'm sure you guys remember having to hold yourself up here. Same idea. So you're trying to first just put 1 foot down if you need to, and then if you can't, take both feet off and see if you can last for 5 to 10 seconds. Most people have lacked the range of motion to even do this, so what they'll do is they'll start here. And it's gonna be a lot harder to start away from the bar than on top of the bar because they just don't have that end range of motion of their bicep, right? If somebody has somewhat of a big body or big biceps, it'll be way too hard to get on top of it. If you have a small bicep, it'll be a lot easier because you don't have something that's physically stopping you from getting there, right? So just remember that. And the same thing goes, if you can't even do this, don't expect them to get there and do this. If this is their end range, that probably means they're gonna go there, right? Always look for end ranges, because if I'm asking something that's impossible from someone, I wanna know that ahead of time, right? Yeah, so feet off the floor, and we're looking to get up to 20 seconds. And then the even harder version of that would be the same thing, just hands facing forward. So iso pull-ups, right? Hands facing forward, we're gonna try to hold it for as long as we can, right? That's gonna be even harder than that, right? So there's a lot more shoulders. Hey, John. How are you, bud?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good, bud, I'm good. All right, so then we're gonna get into all sorts of, on the iso pull-up holds, that first variation is gonna be feet on the floor. So you're gonna just keep your feet on. The second variation below that is gonna be feet off the floor. So you're here. Try to keep your feet on the floor. Yeah, you're gonna stay on your toes, but somewhat connected. You're taking 30% of your body weight out. You're still trying to get ready for that. They might not be ready for that yet. All right, so then we have foot banded chin-ups. So At this point, we're getting ready. We're already doing negative pull-up. The foot band and chin up could be done at the same time as a negative pull-up, right? We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna band this guy. In this version, I almost always teaching it, we'll need a coach. The coach is gonna have to put the band on my foot. Almost always, right? So in this case, I'm gonna be here. I'm my own coach. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make sure that that band lines up in the midline of their foot. I don't want it in the front because if I pull my toes up, it's gonna slam my chin. I don't want it behind, it's the same thing, it's gonna slam up here. So I wanna keep it flat. I wanna mention to them, hey, I want you to keep your foot flat. All right, I want you to keep your foot flat. So you're gonna be here, I'm gonna put that band in the midline of their foot. I'm gonna coach them on keeping it extended. Yeah, I'm gonna coach them on keeping it extended, right? So keep your leg extended, other leg extended, and you're gonna go up slowly and back down. Obviously, when the band is the most extended, it's helping you the most, right? There's gonna be the hardest at the top because you're gonna be the less resistance possible. At the bottom is gonna be the easiest, right? So you're working on keeping the quad extended. You're not just keeping the leg straight, you're flexing it, you're keeping it tight because we're getting ready to use our core to be able to pull up, right? Let me think of some things that we could worry about. The biggest thing that as a coach, what I'm doing is on the first time ever doing it, I'm staying right next to them. I'm making sure their legs extended by pushing their knee in place, and I'm making sure they're pulling vertically up, not horizontally. So I'm making sure I'm pushing their upper back together and knees forward. So they're staying in this position. I'm going like this essentially, right? I'm going like this. And just in case that band comes forward, I can catch it with my forearm. Right, I'm there and catching it from the forearm. So always just spot them on that, because it's gonna be the first time they do it, and it's probably gonna be really uncomfortable trying it. So that's the foot banded chin-ups, right? So then we got iso pull-up holds. That's the one we talked about. This time we're gonna go without the feet. That's the only difference than the other one and the one before. So on level 6, it was iso pull-up holds, feet on the floor. Level 7 is gonna be iso pull-up holds, feet off the floor. Remember that? Talked about it? Okay. Any questions on those? What's that?
But did you do like these two?
Hanging scap retractions. Did I
No,
not?
no, it's like the same as this. So.
That was, I didn't do it unassisted. You're right, shit. Did I skip it? Did I not have it?
You skipped the line.
Oh, my bad. I skipped the whole line? Why didn't somebody say something then?
I did.
My bad. Okay, hold on. Which line?
6.
Oh, shit. Okay, yeah. Okay, so barbell pull-ups is the same thing as chin-ups, but the hands are facing the opposite way. You're going up and down with your legs on the ground. Legs are on the ground for sure. All right, legs in front of you are on the ground. They're helping you, assisting you, right? Is that the one I'm skipping? Yeah, that one. Barbell pull-ups. So just hands facing forward instead of hands facing you. Yep, thanks for that. No, I appreciate it. Iso chin-up, neutral grip holds for time. That one's gonna be where we're here and holding our legs off the ground for time. So I did go over that one. I think I messed up something somewhere though. Oh yeah, feet on the floor. So that's the one I didn't do. So chin up grip, that's the one I didn't show. My bad. So we're going one more time. On line 5, you're gonna hold this with your legs on the ground. On line 6, legs off the ground. That's the only difference in that. And then you have the same thing. Pull-ups, legs on the ground. Pull-ups, holds, legs off the ground, right? And then you have pull-ups with legs on the ground this way, hands facing forward. And then we have hanging scap retractions, right? That's the one I missed? Okay, so that one, now we're unassisted. We have our legs dangling on the ground, and we're gonna be, or we might use the box to get up there, but no matter what, we're gonna be unassisted. We're gonna have our hands facing forward. We're gonna be here, and all we're gonna try and do is pull through your lats, right? We're pulling through your lats, unassisted this time. Perfect. That's a lot harder for your lats, because you're just at that point, you're gonna be using your lats a lot more than you think. Once people get that, pull-ups gonna become really a piece of cake. They're getting closer and closer to a
So you
pull-up.
do the same like cues as like shrug as high as you can, shrug
Oh
as high
yeah,
as you can.
100%. They might not get that range of motion in the beginning, but your goal is to get that range. Your goal is to get this range of motion here. If they can do this, they should be able to get that eventually. Just gotta get the strength for it. And a lot of times it matters in the grip strength too. If somebody's heavier, there's no chance they're gonna hang for that long to be able to get that whole thing, right? So you just have to be worried about the grip strength. That's what we start with. One of the first things we do with assisted passive hanging to be able to transition to that. Because if you don't even start hanging, you can't even start doing retractions, right? We gotta get to that point somehow. All right.
Which way are their hands doing for the hanging?
Always this way, yeah. For the scap retractions and for hanging, yeah. The only reason we'll change from the hanging, neutral grip would be if their elbows hurts or their shoulder hurts. A neutral grip might be easier. And the way we'll do neutral grip is we'll use these guys. So what we'll do is we'll put him up like this, and we'll just go here. Just relax, right? So I'm a neutral grip here. That's the only way we can get neutral grip in this gym. We don't have a neutral grip bar, right? And then you can do retractions this way, but you don't feel it as much in your lats as you do feeling it in front of you, right? Yeah, for sure. Wait, so am I at 8? Okay, got it. Iso pull-up hold. So this one, we're gonna have the bar. We're gonna take our feet off the floor. That's all it is. So all right, one more thing on this one is, we talked about our chin being right on top of the bar, if you can have that end range of motion. So guess what? If you don't even have this end range of motion here and you're here, it's gonna be even further back, guys. Trust me, it's gonna be a lot harder. So we might never be able to get to the point where we're leaving, we might be here, and that's gonna be really hard for most people. Just know it's gonna be really hard. You might have to break it into 3 sets of 3 seconds instead of 1 set of 10 seconds. Break it up into little reps at a time, right? So it becomes compound, or there's another way of calling that, I forget. Okay. All right, so we did foot banded chin-ups, then we're gonna do into foot banded pull-ups, right? So the leg is still in, the band is still right in the middle line of the foot, just switching our grip to going forward. A lot harder to go forward than it is to go chin-ups. Some people basically get to this point, and that's as far as they're gonna go for a while, for a very, very long time. Going from here to here takes a lot of skill and effort, right? Okay, so we got foot banded pull-ups, we got negative chin-ups from the rack. So at that point, let me get rid of this bar again. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be facing the wall this time. It helps because I need to push, I might need to use my legs to get up. So what I'll do is we can do 2 things here. We can assist them on the way up if they're really light, or I can use my equipment that I have to help me. In this case, I already have J-hooks out. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna put a J-hook this direction. I'm gonna use it like a step. So here, I'm gonna have them come all the way up. And then from here, I'm gonna start going down slow. And I'm coaching, hey, I want you to keep your legs in front of you the whole time you're falling. Extend your elbows all the way out before you put your legs back down on the ground, right? You wanna make sure you start coaching elbows completely straight, because a lot of people, what they'll do, especially guys, they'll go up, they'll start coming down, and then they'll give up right here. Just let yourselves hang. That last end range of motion is gonna be the hardest part, to go slowly. You wanna coach 5 seconds going down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not 1, 2, 3, boom. That's what most people do. Coach it the whole way. If you need to get less reps like that, that's okay. But there's a reason, right? I can use this, right? If I have shoes on, I can also use the wall because it has grip on it. So I can use the wall to step up, back down, and slow, my feet in front of me. I'm gonna be slow, core tight, legs in front of me, down, extended, step back on the box, stand up, relax your hands, and reset yourself. We're probably gonna do between 1 and 4 reps on that starting out, most likely, not more than that. If somebody gets 1, we're lucky on that first day, right? We're looking for, like I told you on the other one, we're looking for elbow pain. If you have any elbow pain, we're okay, but their bicep and their lats might be really sore the next day, so I'll forewarn them, hey, you might be really sore tomorrow. Just be aware of that. It's nothing wrong, it's just we're trying a new movement, right? So just be aware. If you give them more of what they might feel, they'll think you're an expert on the field, and that's good. They want you to understand how they feel. You gonna say something? You gonna say something? No? Okay, so that's negative chin-ups from the rack. Then we're gonna go into knee banded chin-ups. So the same thing as foot banded, except we're just using the band less and less every time, right? So now, instead of going all the way down to the foot, I'm just gonna bring it down to my shin. I usually put it in the middle of the shin. What I have to coach is do not extend that leg. If you extend that leg, it's gonna hit you on the shin, right? It's gonna hit you in the face because you cannot extend that leg. So you're gonna keep this leg bent, the other leg straight, and you're gonna try to pull yourself all the way up and back down. But we are working both up and down on this one, not just going down. We're gonna go up and down. On the foot banded and the knee banded, we're going up and down, not just down, right? The shin helps a lot. People ask me, should I switch shins or not every set? Like if you want to, there's not really a big difference for me.
Does it matter
No, I don't think it matters. But I'll tell them, yeah, go ahead and do the other side, the other shin. But some people have preferences. I'll just, hey, if you like your right, keep it on your right, you know? For guys, it just might be that pulling of the hair that they're really uncomfortable with. So, yeah, for sure. Anything with bands, guys are going to hate because of the hair. I'm telling you right now. For sure. All right, so we got knee banded chin-ups and knee banded pull-ups. Same idea, same scenario, just switching the grip. Forward and backwards, right? All right, then we're gonna go into body weight chin-ups. So from here, we start teaching a body weight chin-up. So we've done negative chin-ups, so they should know at this point to keep their legs in front of them. So I'm gonna start on the ground extended, legs in front of me. I'm gonna go up, drive, I'm trying to get past my chin and back down, right? I wanna keep my legs in front of me because that draws a hollow position, right? We wanna stay hollow on that. The more hollow I stay, the more I'm using my arms. If I'm getting my legs underneath me, I mean, you can still get a pull-up done with your arms extended, with your back extended, that's fine. But it's gonna be a lot easier later on to get more and more if your core is real tight, right? So we're looking for the hollow position by keeping your body flexed throughout it. Squeeze your quads really tight as you're going up to your chin. They can't get that whole range of motion, that's okay. But we need to build that up. Maybe you have to start in a negative position at the top, going down and trying to pull up again. That's also an easier way to do it, right? And the same call you got now, we went from body weight chin-ups to we're gonna go negatives of everything else. We got negative pull-ups, negative mixed grip pull-ups, and negative neutral grip chin-ups, right? So this is the easiest, I think, for most people. This and this might be hardest. Sometimes this and this stay the same. This would be the hardest for most people. So on a negative, we're just doing the same thing we did before for their negative chin-up. We're switching our grip facing forward. We're gonna try to get up here. We're gonna keep our legs in front of us, and then we're gonna go down, slow, slow, slow. Extend my elbows, step back. That was one, shake my arms down. Let's try it again. Step up, or use the wall this time. Walk yourself up, stay tight, down and back. Another thing you can do is keep their knees curled. So they were used to at some point doing the barbell, right, extension. So another one you can coach is going up. You can keep your legs close to you tucked, right? If that's a comfortable thing for you, you can do that. That's a way of activating your core too. It's just whatever you feel better doing, right? All right, so that's negative. So the next line is just the same thing, but up and down, not just down, right? So at that point, we start doing mixed grip, right? So I'm here, and I'm start going. If I'm doing a mixed grip, what I'm gonna aim for is always aiming towards the hand that is facing towards me on a mixed grip. And the reason for that is if we want to go into a one-arm chin-up, we're already going towards that. That's the only reason for that, right? So in a mixed grip, I'm going towards that hand because eventually I want to be able to try to go in one arm only, right? But that's way ahead of time. Most people won't even get to that. On a neutral grip, same thing. Like I said, we only have a neutral grip with our handles. So we're going to be using our handles. The thing you have to tell anybody using handles, like any kind of chin-up or pull-up, this is going to slide. And you have to be okay with that. If you put weight down, it won't slide as much, but you can't go fast, right? You gotta go slow and control up, slow and control down, all right? But gotta slow, and the whole idea is to control the movement anyway, so you wanna make sure they're not rushing through that movement. And then we have weighted pull-ups, chin-ups, mixed grip chin-ups. There's different ways of doing this. We can use the dyna balls, we can use the med balls and put it between our legs. That's the way I start the first one, 10 pounds between your legs. Let's see if we can get it, right? If we get that and we get all the way to 20 pounds on that, after that I start using a weight belt, right? But I wait until they can get to 20 pounds with a medicine ball before I even introduce the weight belt. The weight belt is way more comfortable though, so once they feel it once, they probably don't want to go back to using the med ball, I'll tell you that right now.
I love the weight belt.
Yeah, exactly, most people do. But it's just easier for me to just bring a ball, put it between their legs, than it is for me to get the weight, get the bell, and go put everything together, put it around the chain. It's just annoying, right? In terms of coaching, it's a lot easier just to put the weight between the legs. Another thing between the legs is, let's say whatever, this is between my legs. I'm using my adductors, so I'm using my core to pull together. With the weight belt, I'm not. So this helps you activate my core by pulling my knees in, right? So that's the cool thing about the ball is I'm still giving them something that they can use the core with, right? Yeah, but ball first, then the weight belt. Questions on that one? Do we want to go over how to use the weight belt? Have you ever done it before with a weight belt? No? Okay. That's okay. I don't expect you to do it, but I want you to be able to tell clients how to do it, right? 1 second. All right, so I'll bring a ball, and I want you to try to get into a chin-up position and squeeze the ball together and see what it feels like, right? All right, so let's start just trying to hang, pull this between your legs, and try to keep it tight. You don't have to do a chin-up if you don't want to, but you could, and see what I'm talking about in terms of the core. And then I'm gonna get away for this. There you go. Exactly. Squeeze. You don't have to keep it that high. You can keep it hanging right there, but squeezing together. Yeah, right? So it's a lot of different core. You're keeping your core real tight, right? Good. Here, go ahead and hang and try to hold that in between your legs. Hang and try to hold that between your legs. What's up? Yeah, it's the same thing. A lot, right? Yeah. That's what I'm saying. A lot of core, a lot more than people think. Yeah, big difference. There you go, exactly. So you're gonna squeeze that between your legs and just sort of hang. So you see how you feel like it's right here? Yeah, a lot, right? If you let go of that, it's gonna just come down. So that's gonna teach you how to keep yourself real tight. That's why I like using this one. Stay really tight while you're going up. It's really hard to do it with just your legs, but it's a lot easier to do with that. Once you switch to this, you don't have to worry about that, right? You really can't. All right, so for the weight belt though, you're always gonna have one side hanging off, right? What you're gonna do is you're gonna put it around the other hook, right? You're gonna go down and get the whatever weight you're gonna use and then pull it back up on the other side. So it's a little complex, right? You have to hook it around first, then go loop it around and under. So this is gonna be hanging below you. But I don't ever have to use my core to be able to do this. That's the difference. It's a lot easier to use this than the ball because of that. That's why people, once they go here, they don't wanna go back there again. But there's a reason for using that. Wanna make sure they're still using the core for doing that, right? Yeah.